Hey witches, how you doing today? We are back with another video, and today we are going to be reviewing The Witch at the Forest Edge, 13 Keys to Modern Traditional Witchcraft by Christine Grace. And it first came on my radar when I was doing a book club for my guild, and I thought, oh, that looks kind of interesting, but I wasn't really sure what to think about it. But before we get into it, for those of you who are new around here, my name is Taya. Welcome to the channel. We talk about all things witchcraft, especially traditional witchcraft. That is where my heart lies. And for those of you who are returning viewers, maybe coming in from another video, welcome back. Thank you for the support. It's really appreciated. And all of you, please consider subscribing. It's a really great way to help us build the channel. So, The Witch at the Forest Edge, 13 Keys to Modern Traditional Witchcraft. It was published in 2021, I believe November of 2021, by Wiser Books. And like I said, I wasn't really sure what to expect with this book. There's not a lot of mass-marketed traditional witchcraft books. The only two that really come to mind is Weave the Liminal by Laura Tempest Zakroff and The Crooked Path by Keldon, both of which we've reviewed before. And otherwise, there's not a lot. It's mostly just general witchcraft books. And so I was, had a lot of hope for this book, and I was really worried, though, it was just going to be general witchcraft that they'd sort of dressed up to say traditional witchcraft. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this book. Christine Grace writes about her own personal practice and about her Forest Edge tradition. So it is tradition specific, but it is a practice of traditional witchcraft. And I mean, it jived with my definitions of traditional witchcraft. It jived with my lived experiences. So I found it was actually a really excellent book about traditional witchcraft. It's very smartly written and it's very engaging. So it covers a really wide variety of subjects, but it manages to link them all back to her tradition and traditional witchcraft. It's not just generalized witchcraft. So let's go through what's in the book. We'll take a look at the table of contents. The first thing is there's a foreword written by Corey Thomas Hutchison. I have a hard time with that name. He wrote New World Witchery, which I myself have not actually read. It's on my highly recommended reading list of books that I really, really want to get to, but I haven't read it yet. But he wrote the foreword. And then she wrote an introduction and a self-assessment. And I find it was super interesting. So I want to read this. This just made me want to read the book when I read this introduction. So I'm just going to read to you a little bit now. It says, I stand in the meadow at the forest edge. One step forward, and I will straddle the boundary between fading light in the swaying grass and the rich darkness in the woods. One more step, and I will be immersed in the nighttime world of southern hardwood forest. My home lies behind me, the wild magic ahead. I am the witch at the forest edge. It could be you. It could be that you are also a witch at the forest edge. A witch at the forest edge weaves magic from the between places. We are most at home between the realities of daily life and ecstasies of enchantment. Between deadlines and drum beats, hearthstones and electric stoves, front steps and the forest deep. We are everywhere and nowhere. We are ancient and modern. We are domestic and wild. We are crooked, cockeyed, and quirky. We are rooted. We are powerful. And I just thought that was such a lovely beginning to the introduction of this book. And then as part of the introduction, she just talks a little bit about her Forest Edge tradition. And then she has a section on how to use this book and a self-assessment, which I thought was really smart, right? We're going to start off this book taking a look at where are you right now in your craft, and what are you, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What can you get from this book? So I thought that was a really interesting way to begin a book. And then it goes through, I'll just read you the chapters that she covers. We won't go into detail about what's in them. You need to read the book to find out. So chapter 1 is worldview and spirituality. Then we have communing with spirits, spiritual ancestry, intuition, cultivating spirit senses, creating ritual, hedge writing, divination, theology, a green and local craft, the practical use of magical theory, spellcraft, And finally, chapter 13 is magical ethics. And it's a course in it's a general course in witchcraft. Now, what I found exceptional about this book, it's an interesting, engaging read. It's got tons of great information in it, but that each chapter, at the end of the chapter, has a section called reflection and practice. So the reflection section is full of questions that'll sort of help further develop the ideas from the chapter and your own, and sort of incorporating them into your own thought process, into your own practice, etc. And then the practice section has activities and actions that you can complete to sort of further solidify the teachings. And this is excellent for everyone. As an established traditional witch, I found it really helpful and really interesting to go through, especially those reflections. All the time we read books and we're like, oh, here's some new information. This is, oh, cool, this is interesting. But to actually sit down and reflect on how you can integrate that into your own practice, how that jives with what you already think, so helpful. And the practice section with actual activities and actions is great for everybody, but especially for new practitioners, because I remember when I was new and I would read a book like this and I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited. It has all this great information. Oh my gosh, I want to do this. How do I do this? What do I do with this? So she actually gives you the tools to sort of integrate these ideas into your own practice and tells you, here's what you do. And I think that is invaluable. I thought that was really great. Something else I thought was just a really cool aside. In the chapter, A Green and Local Craft, where she's really talking about bioregionalism and working with the land upon which you live, it ends with a questionnaire for cultivating sense of place. And it has, I think a lot of the questions that you would expect, what growing season, what's the growing season like where you live? Can you name 4 grasses that are in your local area? Are they native to your area, or are they imported? Name 5 herbs and their properties that, are found growing in your region. Stuff like that you would kind of expect, right? Bioregionalism. But she had these other questions, trace your water from precipitation to tap. Where does your garbage go? Where does your electricity come from? And I read this and I went, light bulb moment. I know, I live in a city. I know, I know where the water treatment plant is, but I don't actually know the details. We just had in the last year, they've introduced, the city now doesn't just pick up garbage and recycling, but they also pick up compost. So I've always composted myself, but I've actually just been sending it to the city because it's a way easier. I don't actually know where that compost goes. So when I'm putting my offerings into the compost bin and sending it off to the city, I don't actually know where those go and where those end up and what do they do with it. And I'm sure it's easy enough to find out. Just things I had never considered as part of my witchcraft practice that are so integrated into my daily life that I just take it for granted. So again, just lots of thought-provoking content in this book. I thought it was really great. And as a final piece that I really enjoyed, she has a resource list at the end that is actually divided up to correspond per chapter. So if you were like, oh, a green and local craft, this is really interesting, you can go to the resources section and there's all this extra information, resources that you can pull to go and do more research of your own. So I really thought that was a great way to not just do here's a bibliography of all the books that I worked with, but here's an actual broken down by chapter, broken down by topic. So very, very helpful. So I have to say, all in all, it's an engaging, well-written book. It's full of practical exercises and it really helps you sort of integrate the teachings into your practice. And that's where this book really stands out, is that integration piece. So yeah. That is The Witch at the Forest's Edge, 13 Keys to Modern Traditional Witchcraft by Christine Grace. Have you read it? Leave us a comment. I would love to know what you thought about it. And otherwise, yeah, that's our video today. We'll catch you in the next one. Mwah. Thanks so much, you guys.